Ariella, thank you so much for being here. This is going to be the best, most inspiring, motivational content I have heard in so long. I'm so ready to get into this. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for keeping me in mind, for getting me on your podcast. And I'm so excited because it's something that I would have never imagined that I was going to be on a podcast with you. I never imagined that I was going to meet you. It just all happened in the most, like mysterious way. I don't know if you knew about this, but we met in the retreat, in the Costa Rica retreat. And I wasn't supposed to go. I was not even looking into that retreat. That week that that we had the retreat in Costa Rica, I had already signed up for a yoga retreat in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, wasn't it Alula? Was it Alula?
It was Alula in Saudi Arabia. And I had booked it for about 8 months. It was all planned out. And the 2 weeks before we had to leave, it got canceled. And I was like, oh my God, like I was very excited about it. I love to do retreats, go meet new people, like nice, people that are just trying to do their wellness, spiritual work and everything. And I was like, what am I going to do this week? And suddenly the retreat popped up. And I think I was the last one I signed up for it. Not knowing any of you girls. It was 2 weeks before that I signed up. Not knowing who was going to go, what estheticians were going to be there. I just saw esthetician Costa Rica. I'm like, okay, you know what? I wasn't supposed to be in Saudi, but let's go to Costa Rica. And that's how it happened.
I know that we had spoken briefly about it when we were having lunch one day in Costa Rica at the Radiant AF retreat last year. And I totally forgot that this was the story. But isn't that how God works? God's like, no, girl, you don't need to be going to Saudi Arabia. You need to go meet these bitches over here in Costa Rica. And it's going to totally change the trajectory of your life, right?
100%. And that's where I realized that you can have so many things planned in your life, but God always has the most perfect plan for you. So I just soak it all in and flew to Costa Rica and met all of you beautiful girls, and we just clicked from day one.
What is that old adage? They say you plan, God laughs.
That's how it is. That's how it is. Totally. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you. Obviously, we talk all the time because we're in love with each other, and we have our little check-ins all the time. We get on our call and we just talk shit.
I love that.
Motivational stuff. We're just, I know me and you are such kindred spirits, beyond. But
even if we live in other states, but it feels that we're always so connected, and that it's like we never left each other since Costa Rica,
I just love you, and I love everything that you stand for. I love your story. So obviously I know your story. So when I talk to you today on the podcast, people are going to be like, wow, did you not know her story? And I'm like, no, I know her story, but I want you all out there in Ambitchious land to know her story, because you are so inspirational. You have had so many adversities in your life, and we're going to obviously get into that today on the Ambitchious Podcast. But my biggest thing with you is, yes, you go through hard shit, and you've gone through so many things in your life that would probably knock other people totally off course. But you just have such a way about you where you're like, no, I'm using the hard, difficult things that happen to me to propel my greatness, to take me to the next level. And I think that if more women in the service industry, especially estheticians, if they could just hear this story and just take a little hair of your energy and just your motivational aspects of who you truly are, and they apply it to their own lives, they're going to explode. So I'm so pumped to talk about this today. Oh my gosh. So obviously, as you guys were listening, we met last year in Costa Rica at Candice Marino's Radiant AF retreat. You weren't even supposed to be there, and it was just kismet that you got there. So I'm so grateful to God that you came, and I fell in love with you, and I just saw how incredible you are and were. And when you started talking to me about a lot of your personal stuff, the things that you've gone through, you blew me away. And I was like, I have to get this girl on the podcast. So thank you so much for being here. And I know that these girls are going to hear what you, men and women, we have about 10% of our listeners are men. And 90% are women, obviously, but the guys that are here, they're going to get so much out of this as well, because, you know, your story is incredible.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you for hosting me.
oh my God, my pleasure. So I want to talk about, where did the inspiration come for you to get into the beauty industry, right? Because this has been a long time coming, because you've been in the beauty industry for how long now?
It's been 15 years plus. Yeah, it's been almost 16 years that I've been in the industry. But when I was in high school, I would have never imagined that I was going to become a paramedical skin therapist. The only thing that I really knew and I really felt inside of me since I was growing up, and a baby growing up and being in high school, was that I always felt that calling to help people. I was always, it's not being like a people pleaser, but it was helping them in the most, like natural, like very aware of my surroundings and how I can impact people that are in my life, So that's one thing that I always knew, that I love to help people. And I always wanted to make people feel comfortable when they were in my presence, And every time I pray, I always say to God, please let me be an extension of you up there, here on earth. And that's one thing that I rule my life on.
I love that. I love it. When did you start becoming really interested in the skincare? Because you're saying that, you always knew, even when you were a young child, like, I have this mission and purpose to help people. And maybe when you were younger, you didn't know like how you were going to help people. So when was it like, oh, I'm going to do this work? Like, God put me here for this purpose, but I'm going to do it through what you said, the paramedical skincare industry, which a lot of people know about this. And I want you to explain this in a second, but where did you finally say, like, no, I'm going to do this with skin, and I'm going to help women and men feel more confident, more self-esteem, and more beautiful by what I do? Was there like a time in your life, like an age, or like what prompted you to get into the skincare industry?
It was exactly when I graduated from college. I did my undergrad in business management. Wow. And then I got a full scholarship on my MBA in marketing. And then I was always in the beauty kind of industry, because I started to work when I graduated in, I don't know if you know, like this vitamin shop, like,
oh, I know.
I had a marketing position in this vitamin shop. So it was always like in the wellness industry. But yes. Then when they hired me, it was 2 days that I started to go to the office, 9 to 5 job. The second day, Katie, I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I cannot do a 9 to 5 job. This is not for me. My mom was, what? You just did all these years of, preparing yourself and everything. I'm like, it's fine. I have my degree. Nobody's going to take that away from me. I have that in my pocket, but I think I want to take another step and just go into beauty school. And I always liked, to take care of my skin. My mom was a beautiful woman, like blonde hair, like she always used to take care of herself. So when I was a little kid, like I always saw her, that she was taking so much good care of herself. Her skin was so radiant, was so naturally beautiful, So I always saw that in her. And I feel that that was something that I grew up with. So I feel that that's what, like, the leap that I took, that I was like, okay, I'm going to go into aesthetic school. I'm going to go into skincare. And I feel that that's exactly what I want to do in my life, So that's where I started. I started working. I got my licenses. I never stopped doing like yearly courses, just getting my certifications, because that's something that I do want to mention. Education is, nobody can take that away from you. I say it again. You can do so many things, and that is always going to help you to build your business stronger. Knowledge is power. At the end of the day, knowledge is power.
100%. So you went to actually like aesthetic school. And then when you graduated from aesthetic school, did you have to go become like a paramedical esthetician, or how does that work? Because you don't really hear those words a lot in the aesthetics business, especially in America, because, meeting all these estheticians from all over the world that I have coached and still coach to this day, every country has like different types of certifications where, I have girls in like Australia that I coach, and it's almost like being almost like a physician, how much schooling they have to go through. And then I have girls in America that are like, oh, I did a 3-month course and became an esthetician. And I'm not knocking it and saying it's not as good as the other countries.
Different.
Said paramedical, I was like, oh, this is such an interesting topic. So how did you get involved with that?
So I got my esthetician license in the state of Florida. I did a couple of trainings after that to get into what really skin revision was. And then after a couple of years working with aesthetic doctors in Boca Raton, and I worked also in like day spas, just doing like facial, like, massages and what regular facials are, which are amazing. They're very relaxing. They're very good. But I just said, I want to dive into what skin revision is. Meaning working with people that have skin conditions, but in a very holistic way. So I found this amazing concept, which it's not a brand, it's a concept where you really dive into what skin biology, mitochondria, the whole lymphatic system, how everything is interconnected, the gut-skin axis, how you can really help inflammation inside of your body with these skin therapies, with these oxygen therapies at a cellular level. So I really dived deep into what just like healing the body from the inside, and that's where I took a lot of courses. I really studied skin science. The biggest organ of our body is skin. So I mastered in that.
That's
and
incredible.
Then mastered in that just led me to be able to work with a lot of people that are suffering eczema, psoriasis, melasma, just, skin conditions that at the end of the day, it all comes down to inflammation, So being able to target that and mastering in that led me to become a paramedical, which is, the word says it itself, basically, it's paramedical,
Right.
And clearing people up from these flare-ups and inflammation without medication. Obviously, I'm not saying that medication is bad. There's at some point, I really believe that sometimes we do need it. That's why it's there. But if we can avoid it as much as possible to be able to take care of our liver and not put that harsh, toxicity in our body, I feel that that's going to bring longer results in everything that you want to achieve in skin.
Oh my God, you hit the nail on the head. And I'm very much like you, where I believe that everything starts on the inside and comes out. And like you said, skin is the largest organ of the body. And I think that the estheticians that I've coached over my many years doing this work, the ones that are the most successful and, help the most people, are really coming from the same place as you, where they're just like, okay, you can come in once a month for a facial. That's great. But what are you eating? Right? What kind of stress do you have in your life? What medications are you on? Are you drinking alcohol every day? Are you not sleeping? Right? Are you going to the club and you're coming home and you're not taking your makeup off, and like you're getting up in the next day and eating like hot Cheetos because you're hungover? Like, people don't think of those things, and you hit the nail right on the head. Like, it's a holistic view.
It's a holistic view, a holistic approach. Also, it's not only like the treatments, like you said, that we do in clinic, but you also have to, be aware of your surroundings. Even like the smallest things, like the things you listen, the things you see, the people that you surround yourself with, that can all take a huge toll on your like mental health, like your inner soul, your anxiety levels, your stress levels. So it's everything as a whole, looking at the skin, the organ as a whole, but also it's the environment that you are in, you
Yeah.
know. And let me be very clear, and I want to be very transparent. I am a girl that I love to live life. You know, I'm not a girl that I'm a skin therapist, and I love the sun. I live in Miami. I feel that the sun, the ocean is therapy for me. And I do a lot of things. I love to go out with my friends. I love to have my whiskeys. I'm a whiskey girl. I can be
I
straight
know
up.
all about whiskey, and you, when we were in Beverly Hills, we were drinking a lot of alcohol. But that's the thing, you only live once, you know, like.
Well, you live every day, you only die once. But yes,
That's
we
true.
need to take advantage of you know, the beautiful life that we have. But at the same time, just be very mindful. Like just be very mindful, you know, how if we're doing this, how can we protect us from doing, you know, the things that we like and just living life, and just be bringing both things together, you know, and just having that like mediation, or how do you say it, like
Balance. Like, it's really about balance. No,
it's
true. Because
about that.
also the people who are so OCD about their health and wellness, they almost become like orthorexic, meaning like they get so obsessed with healing and what's wrong with them all the time that they forget to live life. And I think that can be more toxic and detrimental in the long term. So if people are like, hey, tonight I'm going out, we're going to have pasta, we're going to have a couple whiskeys, right? We're going to get a little wild. The next time
Exactly.
you wake up and you like drink your water, you take your supplements, you go for a walk.
Go to your yoga, go to your meditation flows, like just nourish that part also, which is really going to bring you into a safe state of mind, because that's where we want to be right now. We want to be in a state of mind, especially with everything that is going around and in the world right now, and with all these, you know, situations that can really take a toll in our nervous system. So just try to find what really brings you peace, and stick to that. Be consistent with that, you know. I feel that consistency is a lot more important than intensity. And what you were saying of people that are just so driven into health, wellness, zero alcohol, like I can't go out later than 9 because I have to be in bed. Like that's where they start to be like getting that intensity, and afanados is what we say in Spanish, you know. So I feel that consistency is more important than intensity. Small steps take you to a much safer place in your mind and in your soul. You know?
I agree. When we were at Radiant Retreat last year, and you went through everything that we did there, right? So Candace was teaching her very specific massage style, right? We were doing business coaching, we were doing spiritual stuff, and it was just an amazing, amazing experience. And we got to meet all these incredible people from all over the world. What do you think was the biggest thing from that retreat? And it could be multiple things, but what do you think, in your opinion, was like the biggest things that you walked away from being around all those other women that were all, you know, they're all in business, they're all trying to be successful, they're all trying to help people be better service providers, level up, you know, scale their businesses. Out of all the things, like, is there like a couple of things that you're like, I can take all these amazing nuggets away? Was there anything that really impacted you from that experience?
You know what impacted me so much? That we're all here trying to do our best. We all have a story, but even though in our struggles, everybody was so vulnerable about their life experiences, and I learned a lot from each and every one in the retreat. Like that, I admired a lot more these true to their self persons that maybe I can say, like, I live in Miami and there's so many estheticians here, and I feel that it's a little bit like nobody really opens up, you know. And I admired a lot the fact that we were in a very safe space and everybody got a chance to express, you know, their hard times, their terrible experiences in life. But I just feel that being that vulnerable in a group of women made me appreciate like a lot more the environment that I am in the aesthetic world. And obviously like the death experience that you provided.
Death meditation. Oh my God, right? That was cuckoo.
Really took me to another place, you know, and made me realize that the only thing that we have is today, you know. And even though like the pain that we can have, like life doesn't always remove pain, but it always offers a purpose through it.
Amen.
Right. And I started to realize that your pain can become your power, you know.
Absolutely. That's my biggest thing. I'm like, use your pain to power your absolute purpose. And you've done that. And obviously I know your story, but one of the most defining moments when we were speaking was when you were talking about two things. One was the death of your mom. Mm-hmm. And I want you to talk about that. And then secondly was your ayahuasca experience, which, you know, when you were telling me this, because, you know, like I'll do anything, but I don't know what it is. Maybe in a past life or something, I was like a shaman and I was like, I don't want to do this in this life. When you told me about the ayahuasca experience.
You do have shaman vibes. Okay.
I can be a little shamanic. I definitely agree with you. But plant medicine always freaked me out. And I always just admired people that were like, yo, I went to the rainforest and I did ayahuasca. And like, I had this mind-altering, life-changing experience. And when you told me that, there was like a little bitty piece of me that I was like, maybe I should go do some ayahuasca. I'm not there yet. Maybe you can work on me. And then like, maybe someday I'll be in the jungle throwing up in a bucket and hanging out with Mother Aya. But you know, when you told me those two things, I was like, wow, this girl is not only so tough, right? But to go through the loss of your mom at such a young age. Yes. And then to go and be like, yo, I'm going to go do this ayahuasca. I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't know what is going to happen, but I'm just going to like trust the universe and trust God that I'm going to be led in the right direction. And that really totally changed the trajectory of your life. And we're going to get into this when you started creating your product, which I'm so excited for everyone out there in Ambitchious land to learn about, because your product healed my perioral dermatitis. I know that we had this conversation, but to your point of how you know, I went to the doctors and they were like, you got to take this medicine and this thing and put this cream on and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. And then you sent me your oil and I just started putting it on every day, morning and night. And it like cleared my perioral dermatitis up in like a couple of weeks, where I have girlfriends that are like, I've had perioral dermatitis for 5 years. Nothing will make it go away. Like, So let's talk about your mom. What was her name?
Her name was Lisa Mancini. She was born and raised in Rochester, New York. Never had left the country until she was 25 years old, which was when she met my dad in the hospital in Eastman Dental Center. She was a dental hygienist. She was a dental hygienist, yes. And my dad is an oral surgeon. So he went to do his PhD. And he got, you know, licensed in the state of New York and everything. And he met my mom in the hospital and he fell so in love with her. My dad is from Guatemala, and he was just so in love with her that he's like, I am graduating and I can't go back to Guatemala without you. So marry me and let's go back. And my mom, not knowing one word of Spanish, mind you, this was 40 years ago or 38 or 40 years ago, not knowing one word of Spanish, hadn't left the country, hadn't left the US in her whole life. She was like, I'm going to a third world country, Guatemala. And she left.
You gotta love his ass.
She loved his ass. Yes. And I even asked her before she passed, I'm like, Mom, how did you know that this was the right decision? She's like, honey, the moment you have zero doubts about somebody, it's when you know that is the person. Wow. And she took, you know, the whole life experience that she could in Guatemala. She started practicing next to my dad. They opened a practice. My dad has been practicing now for 50 years. He's a big oral surgeon in my country. And my mom was next to him every single day. People were like, how do you guys work together? Like, don't you guys want to kill each other at the end of the day? But God is amazing, because my mom was the perfect balance for my dad to be able to just take it to another level in his business, and she was his ride or die, so I feel that and that's why I believe so much in love. Like, I know love exists, and I believe in healthy relationships. I do believe in that, because I grew up in the most loving and safe space in my household. It was I loved my childhood. And that's where I knew that everything that you could do could come from a place of love. And that's, they showed me that. They really made me, like, they raised me with love. And I think that love is the answer to everything.
Oh, I agree. And you don't hear these types of stories anymore. Like, you hear now, because like I'm older than you, but we kind of are in the same generation where it's like there's no good men out there, and everybody sucks, and everything is like swiping left, swiping right. Everyone wants a sugar daddy in this world, like all these women, and it's like, I believe, because Matt and I are very similar to your mom and dad, where it's like when we got together, I was like, oh wow, there is true love. Like, that's a real thing, because I had never really experienced that before from any other person that I was ever with. And so, to your point, I feel like that about Matt, because people will say to me too, how do you guys work together all the time? Don't you want to beat the shit out of each other? And I'm like, yeah, there are days where I want to kick his ass, and I'm sure he feels the same way about me.
All have those days.
But at the end of the day, like, I would do anything for him, and I know that he would do anything for me. So what you're saying is so huge, and it's inspirational for people out there that, like, they're in that place right now where there's like, are there any good people out there anymore?
I feel that a lot of people are just coming from another place where they don't even know themselves. So how are you going to be able to open up so truthfully to another person? 1, 2, you're looking in the wrong places. You have to surround yourself with like-minded people to be able to connect with those people, so being in the wrong places sometimes, yes, that's why people say there's no true love. Are you telling me? I live in Miami. Like, here, it's like people always think the grass is greener on the other side, but a lot of people do think that there are true and loving relationships, and that's something that I have in my heart, and I believe in, and I admire your relationship with Matt a lot. I've hung out with both of you, and it comes from a very loving, respecting. You guys have such an amazing communication, and that's very admirable. And you guys remind me of my parents. Both of you remind me of my parents, how they used to be, because awesome. The answer here in this world is love over everything,
100%. And I truly also believe that when you're in business, especially if you're in business with your partner, but even if you're not, even if you're not in business with your partner and you both have separate jobs or separate, entrepreneurial businesses or whatever, I really truly believe when you have a significant other on your side, you really are, like you were saying, ride or die, and you guys understand each other and you have that great communication, those great communication skills. I believe that when you have that other person that's going to support you no matter what, that's how you actually can take your business and success and life to the next level. Because I know so many girls, I've coached thousands of women over my career, and the ones that have so much potential to do such great work in their lives are always with some fucking loser. And I'm like, of course you can't level up because you don't have that support system, or you have a guy who's jealous of you that is trying to keep you small and drag you down all the time.
And energy is everything also. So if you're being constantly just dragged by that energy, your focus is going on that. It's not going on what you want to become, or the business you want to build, or the person you actually want to be, Amen. But it all comes down also to, first, not pointing fingers at anybody else, going inside of you. So going back to your question, to what we were talking about is yes, I grew up with this amazing and loving household, and I would treasure it for the rest of my life. And then suddenly, when I was 27, my mom being super healthy, never smoked. That's why I'm saying, like, if you want to live life, just do it, babe, because we never know if tomorrow we're gonna be here. But in a safe way, I'm saying it. My mom never smoked. The only thing she would do is red wine, a couple of nights. That was it. Pilates. She used to swim, everything, having the healthiest life possible, and from one day to another, stage 4 cancer. So, and this happened when I was 25. So she fought for it for a year and 8 months. And then when we realized that getting the best treatments, mind you, biopsies, Stanford University, they couldn't tell us where it was coming from. 3 times Stanford University, 99%, we don't know where it's coming from. So, a very rare cancer. It was very rare. When she decided not to treat herself, it was because it was already going to her head and to her pancreas. So she was like, you know what? I prefer to have, I don't know, weeks, 2 months, 3 months of a good life, being in my house with the family, with the people that I love, comfortable. And that's what she did. So I was living in this time in the US in Boca Raton. I had a very long relationship. I had a 6-year relationship. I was living with an Argentinian lover. And we were basically married at this point, So we were building a life together in Boca. And when my mom decided this, I had a job. I had a job with 2 amazing doctors in Boca Raton. And I told them, doctors, I really have to go. My mom is, she decided, and I told them the whole story. And they were like, Ariela, we're going to wait for you. We're not going to hire anybody else. We want you back. You can take whatever you want. I'm like, doctors, but this could take 1 month. It could take a year. They're like, take your time. And that's when I said, I'm doing something good in this job, because if they're not hiring anybody and they don't want to replace me, it's because I'm very valuable to them. So they showed me that the value of the good work that I was doing, and they were very good mentors to me. So that was a very nice situation that I had. Going back, I went home and I said to my boyfriend at that time, I have to go to Guatemala and I don't know how long it's going to be. He's super supportive with me. I went to Guatemala and I sat down with my mom and I said, I am going to be your nurse. I am going to be the person that will be here for you until your last day. I am going to take care of you. And I said, we're never going to put you in a hospital. The hospital is, if it has to be, it's going to be here in the house. And this is going to be my job to take care of you, because all those years that you took care of me, now it's my turn, So, and how intuitive mothers are. She's like, honey, I don't feel that this is going to go well with such and such, my boyfriend at that time. I'm like, Mom, don't worry about it. She's like, no, this is not going to go well with him. I want you to go back because you have a life ahead of you. I'm like, you are my life right now. And this is what's going to go down. I stayed there. We had the best 4 months of my life. It was 4 months. I took care of her. I just saw how this sickness consumed her. When you're a grape, and literally it was just pulling her day by day, she became a raisin. Like, I can't even explain to you how I saw her just go day by day, and how this sickness just literally took her. It was insane. Every day we had, a couple of struggles. At night, everything gets worse. I ended up changing diapers. I ended up doing blood transfusions. I became a nurse, literally. Blood transfusions. You would see me hanging everything in the bed for that to go into her veins strictly. It was the most beautiful experience of my life. I cannot explain to you the satisfaction of being able to take care of my mom, which became a baby at that time. And at the end I said, I don't want any nurse to take care of you. I'm going to do everything. At 2 weeks before she passed away, my dad is like, Ariela, I mean, your mom is 60 pounds and you're 80 pounds right now. I need to put somebody to help you. And I was so mad at that because I was like, I'm going to do this till the end of the day. But at the same time, it was taking a toll in my health, so, but the best conversations, the most open conversations of how life, and at that point, she was already a little bit more up there than here, on earth. So she was giving me a lot of insight of, how you should live life, experiences that she had. So that really built me into having my life as a different perspective, and the day came, like 2 days before, she said, Ariela, you're not letting me go. Please let me go, because it's because of you that I'm hanging on here, So that day I left it to God. I'm like, okay, this had to happen. She waited for everybody to leave the house. And literally her last breath was with me. And that was the most satisfactory thing that I could do in my life, and that made me become the person who I am right now. And as I said, like when she passed away, I got this message that it's like I got a calling to a higher purpose, and it's like her death led me to have a better life. It's so weird. People sometimes, I don't even want to say it because people are going to say like, oh my God, how are you thinking that? It was your mother. She literally, her passing, she's making me have a better life.
I agree. And we've had this conversation because, obviously I lost my dad last year, just unexpectedly. Like I literally talked to him on the phone at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Monday afternoon, and 2 hours later he was gone. So I didn't get all that time with him like you got with your mom to get all the questions answered and get all the insight and stuff. So in a way, I'm like so jealous about how you got to do that with your mom, because it was such a beautiful thing. But I agree with you 100%. When my dad passed away, when all was said and done, and, we had his services and we talked to all the people, and you know how it is, right? Everyone's up your ass, right? When they pass away, and you feel so supported. And then like a couple months later, it's like everything just goes dark and silent. And then you have to kind of like reintegrate back into your old life.
Yes.
But one thing that my dad taught me is, well, he taught me so many things in his death, but it was very similar to like what you had, that experience with your mom, where you're just like, life is it's so quick. It's so ephemeral. It's so just like, you never know. It can snap of a finger. Your whole life can change. So we have to like live for today, and there is no time but right now. So all these people who are like, oh, in 3 years, I'll leave my shitty job and I'll start my own aesthetics practice, or I'll product that I want to create, or I'll do this thing. You don't know if there's going to be time. Like my dad always would say, I just want to swim once in the Pacific Ocean, because my dad didn't like to travel that much. And I was like, Dad, you'll do it. You'll get to do it. I said, we should go to California. We should do this. We should do that. Oh, next year. And it's like, next year may not be. And I was talking to my mom after my dad had passed away, and she's like, he never got to swim in the Pacific Ocean. And just her saying that to me, it's like this stupid thing, swimming in an ocean that he's never swam in. Like in my head, I'm like, he's never going to get the chance to do that. So we say no, we put things off till next year, next week, next month, but we don't know if we're going to have that experience. So do it now. And like you were saying before, use your pain to power your purpose. Since my father died, I am like totally a different person. Like all the things that used to bother me, I would take so personal, or I would like waste my time like complaining and all this shit or talking shit. That doesn't even like cross my mind anymore. I move things so fast. I don't deal with bullshit. I know that like God gave you this very precious moment to do things that you were put here to do. And like, we can't keep putting them off. And like, thank God your mother was so wise. And I know what you're saying, when they're starting to transition back to where they came from, which is, heaven or whatever we believe, right?
Yes.
They walk both lines. It's almost like they're in 2 dimensions at once. Like they're here in this 3-dimensional reality, but their higher self is starting to almost come away from their bodies. And when their souls kind of start to come away from their bodies, that's when you can get incredible sacred truth from them that maybe they done when they were normal, right?
Yes. And as you were saying, we always think we have more time, but honestly, the time is now. Like feel it, embrace it, live it, love it. It's like the time is really now. And that is when I feel, as I said, the moment she passed away in front of me, which that will never leave my mind. And when she started to connect like with her higher self, that is when she also like transitioned that to me. And that's exactly when I started to feel the calling to do plant medicine. It was like one thing, sorry, led me to another. And I just felt the calling. And I had never been this person of like searching for, doing a plant medicine, or I had never thought about it. I always had heard about it, especially because, I'm from Guatemala, like the ancient and Costa Rica, Ecuador is very famous for that, Brazil, but it was that moment when I said, and I felt the calling of doing plant medicine. So after that, a lot of my friends, really close friends that I grew up with, which I call my brothers and sisters, because in Guatemala, we don't go to like middle school and a different high school. We start when we were 5 years old and we graduate together when we were 18. We don't leave the facilities. It's like we all grow up together. It's the same school. So these really are my family, and they all approach me and they're like, Ariela, you need to go to therapy. What you went through is at this age of your life, when you're 27, this is not normal. You have to go to talk to somebody. And you know what, Katie, I never wanted to go to talk to anybody. I felt that she was guiding me in every moment of my life. Obviously, I did go through grieving. I could tell you it took me 2.5 years to pass that grief. At first, I was angry. Then I was so sad. Then I was so lost in life. I was like, what am I doing? I lost my soulmate. Who can I talk to now? But it's crazy because I asked her the last day, Mom, what am I going to do when I needed advice? How am I going to ask you? And she's like, honey, you will know, and I always will be there for you to answer your questions. Until the day of today, things that has happened to me, and I can go on here, but I'm not going to start because I won't finish. This would take us 3 hours or more. And we're going to have to take a whiskey after if I start. But yes, she literally, in any way, shape, or form, people who have given me advice, I literally have heard her voice giving me the advice. So she's putting these people to transmit this advice to give to me because she's sending it to me. And I'm a true believer, but you also have to be very open and believe in it, because that the people are here, but they can transition to another dimension and they are still here. They're all still here.
I always tell people God uses people to speak through. Because, people like say like, I talk to God, I pray, but God never speaks back to me. I go, God's not going to come down and sit on your lap and be like, hey, girl, I got some advice for you. He uses his children to instill these, advices to you, and they speak to people. But the problem is people aren't open. And they go, oh, that's just like a coincidence. It's like nothing in this world is coincidental. God is always speaking through people to you, and it's up to you to be open and receptive to hear the advice. And I am 110% in alignment with you. Now, can I ask you one quick question because I want to get into the ayahuasca thing because it's just so amazing. What happened when you went back to Boca? What happened with the man? Was she right?
So, okay, no, she was 10,000% right. I was still in Guatemala. We were doing her whole incinerary, you say?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's what they say. Like in Spanish, Portuguese too.
You know.
So, they do the ashes. So
the ashes, yes. We were doing the whole ashes. Blah, blah. 2 weeks. No, I think it was a week and a half later, 10 days later, I get a phone call at like 8 a.m. from him. He's like, I am leaving. I don't want to be with you anymore. I am leaving the apartment. I'm getting everything out. The apartment is, we have, I think, our lease until for like 4 months. Do whatever you have to do.
Wait a minute. They're literally cremating your mother. And this motherfucker calls you like, I'm done. Bye.
I'm done. Bye. After like
Your
6
mother called it. Lisa, you were right.
You said it. And when I heard that call, I was like, the first thing I said is, Mom, you were so right. And then I went back to Boca. We had a conversation. When I entered the apartment, it was all gone except my closet. All gone.
Oh my God.
But mind you, Katie, when I had gone through all of this was only a pinch for me. This was like, Mom, you are taking him away from my life because this is what's supposed to be. And I'm here for it. Let me embrace it as I have to do. And I was grieving. So at that point, my main focus was my mom, not my boyfriend,
Of course.
So it was very sad how we ended it after all these years building a life together, but it is what it is.
Wow. You know what though? He couldn't handle you. And think about it. If you would have stayed with him for whatever reason, you would not be who you are today.
No.
You would not have the thriving business that you have today. You would not be the success that you are today. You just wouldn't. And I think about that too. I think back to old relationships that I had. And I thought, oh my God, I love this guy. I don't know what I would do without him. And now I look back and I laugh. I'm like, what a fucking joke.
But I can say that the time being, he really treated me like a princess. He really was I cannot say anything bad about him. And I am very grateful for him because the time being and he was very respectful. We had a great relationship. And I really do believe that we weren't the same person that we met when we were 20, 21, as when I was 27, going through what I was going. I changed also. So it's very fair for him to change, and I embrace that. People change, and you can't expect to have, through life experiences and all that, the same person that you met 7 years ago. It's impossible. It's impossible.
If you don't change, that's a problem, right?
Exactly.
If you stay the same through your whole life, that's sick. Like you have to evolve, you have to do all those things. And it's so wonderful that you said that about him, because most people would talk shit, but you're like, yo, everything was great. It was just this one thing that happened. Yes. And God showed you not who he was, but like, I think about this a lot too, where like I have a lot of clients who are in not so great relationships with husbands, or even, very serious boyfriends or fiancés. And I'll say to them, would you, who you are today, have married or been with this person? And they say no.
No, exactly.
It's like my old self, like my younger self, chose this person because that's where I was in that part of my life. And then they marry each other, and then the two people, instead of growing together, they grow apart.
And it's fun. It's fun. And the same thing happens with relationships, but a friendship, family, even though they're your blood, but it happens to all of us, and it's totally fine. The moment that you let go is the moment that you're going to set yourself free, not trying to clingle. How do you say that?
Cling.
Yeah. Because once you start clinging on it, you're not letting something bigger come into your life. So I feel that letting go can be the most freeing a step of your life, and that's how I saw it. I agree.
Yeah. And they say whatever you resist will persist. So it's like whatever you're trying to like hold and squeeze, it just falls through your hands. The other thing, to your point, is like when people fuck with me now, I'm literally like, do you think I give a fuck about your fucking with me right now? I literally spoke to my father at 3:00 in the afternoon, and 2 hours later he was dead. I never got to say goodbye to him. Like, do you think that what you say about me or what you're trying to do to me is going to affect me? Please, this is nothing compared to like the pain that I've had watching, myself go through what I went through and losing a parent like that. It changes you, I think, for the rest of your life when you lose a parent. I don't care how old you are, but it puts things into perspective. Like, okay, I have, like you with your mom, like I think about this a lot too with like ancestors, because we're both, I'm half Latina, right? So my mom is Portuguese, and I always think about how, my ancestors, your ancestors, they prayed over us without us even knowing, right? Like
Yeah,
our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, who knows? So it's like, honey, I am protected by strong ass ancestors, especially women. Do you think I'm gonna like put up with your bullshit? No, get out of my
exactly.
way. So how
Exactly.
long after that whole situation with your mom passing and then you breaking up with your boyfriend, when did you say, okay, I'm going to do ayahuasca, I'm going to go to the jungle, I'm going to do this?
So I came back to Boca. Mind you, I still worked with the doctors that waited me for 8 months. They
Amazing.
received me the next day. I'm like, I'm back in Boca. Do I still have my job? And they're like, yes, you can come into the office.
That
So
goes to show who you are as a service provider, because I haven't heard a story like that in a really long time. So that just is a true testament to who you are as a business owner, a service provider, and just a human in general.
human, and I can really say they were my first real like business mentors, and I learned so much from them. And I ended up working for another year with them until I said I have to start my own business. I cannot be, I'm a very free bird, free spiritual person. So I was like, you know what? It is safe for me to leave right now and just start my own journey as a solo esthetician. So wrap my things up after a year, and I said I have to leave Boca because Boca has a lot of memories for me, and I need to start basically a new life.
Right.
And all this, I thought it to myself. And I moved down to Miami. I mean, it's a 45-minute drive, but
It's a
anyway,
world.
it's a completely different world. And
Mhm.
Katie, I can really tell you that I had two options. My first option was becoming a party animal, getting myself into drugs, because in Miami there's a lot of drugs. You have drugs everywhere, in every corner that you go, in every restaurant that you
And you
go.
can party your ass off there. That
And you
party.
can party and you can get very lost here.
Yes.
And my promise to myself was, Ariella, you're gonna move to Miami and you're gonna behave yourself. This was my promise to me. And I don't know if I can say it, but I'm gonna say it because I'm uncensored. I said, I'm never trying cocaine. If you go down to Miami, because this is a cocaine place, I'm never trying cocaine in my life. And that's one thing that I've stuck to, being here for 10 years.
Wow.
And I set my boundaries. I said, okay, you want to party, you go out, have fun, but everything with measurement. And I feel that this is something, and I have this inside of me because my dad, being a Latin dad, he's very structural, and that's how I grew up. And if you're going to do things, you have to do them the most excellent way. It's not a good way, because habits that separate the good from the great it really is a big difference, So that's one thing that I really had in my mind. I'm going to go down to Miami, but I'm going to be very focused on what I want to do. I can tell you, for the first couple of months, I did party a lot. Out until like 4 a.m, and it's totally fine. But the next day I was, trying to get clients. I rented out a room, a skincare room here, and I started to build myself. And I think it was the best decision that I could ever do. Having no support behind me. I mean, support in the sense of emotional support. People that I could really open up to, because there's just so much you can open up to your friends. I can open up a lot more to my friends than to my family, to be completely honest. And there's just so much you can tell them because they're not going through what you're going. So, I mean, they can give you advice, but at the end of the day, it's you going through it, so you have to go through it to be able to, to open up to what you really want in life. So all of this on my own, I came to Miami, and that's where I started to feel that I really started learning who I really was, from all the experiences, the death, the sadness, the how mad I was also. At a certain point, I was kind of like disappointed in God. You know, I grew up in a very Catholic household, and very Catholic. I wouldn't say more spiritual, but I would say Catholic. And I was, at one point I was like, God, why did he do this to me? Like, why me? And why my mom? She was so young. She passed away when she was 56. So I was very mad, but all these things just led me to become stronger. And when I started to really focus on the impact that I wanted to do on my patients, and I told myself, I don't want to go to a therapist. At that time, I didn't believe in therapists. Now I do. I've never been to a therapist, but I do believe in them a lot.
There's a place for that.
Exactly.
But I'm like you. I'm more like the spiritual. I'm going to go to God. I'm going to like do other things over like go to talk therapy, because you know, another thing too is you and I are so freaking smart and we're so like quick that I will be speaking to someone like I've gone to therapy before and it did not work for me. And I'm not saying it's not for everyone, but for me, because I'm so smart and I'm so cerebral, I'll give myself that. I'm a lot of bad things, but I am very intelligent when it comes to this stuff. I would tell the therapist shit and I would be like, this motherfucker is going to tell me A, B, C, and D. And well, A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. So I'm not going to spend this kind of money. And when I started doing more of the spiritual stuff to heal me, that's when I was like, oh my God, this is it. And now I'm kind of like, you're probably like me, where you're like half spiritual, half religious, where like you believe in God, you understand that aspect, but then you also realize like God gave you free will. And also, I believe that we, as God's children, are made in the image and the likeness of God. So I think that whatever God can do, we can do the same thing. So I'm kind of like half and half. And I know that you're very similar.
I'm very similar. I live very close to the water. So I go on my hot girl walks every day. And I have a church, San Judas, here very close. And I go every day. I pray. I go give thanks, honestly, you know, more than praying. I'm very thankful. And I feel that since I started to take that approach of being more thankful, everything is just starting to align a lot better in my life.
Well, it's a vibrational frequency, right? Like, so if you're always in gratitude, how can you attract anything that's not of that energy?
Exactly. And that's where and not taking the therapist approach, I started to take the more spiritual approach, which was, as I said, my calling. But at the same time, I feel that was just my route that I had to take. And I followed my gut feeling. And that's where everything started to align for me to be able to receive the plant medicine. Because you don't just do ayahuasca. It's a medicine that you are receiving to be able to connect to your higher self and to be able to heal past traumas and to be able to, because, you know, we're more connected to our grandmothers than to our mothers itself, right? Yeah. We were in the womb of our grandmothers before we were of our mothers. So I feel that I had a lot of just stagnant situations that my grandma had gone through, and I feel that I was carrying them with me. Ooh. So it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but it's
I love that you even thought that deep about it, because so most people don't even think that deep. But I am in total alignment with you, because there's things that we do as women today that you're like, and I don't know if you have this experience, but I'm like, why do I feel this way, or why am I acting like this? Why am I thinking like this? And I'm like, and like God will say to me, this is not yours.
Exactly.
This is your grandmother's. Like, this is coming from your ancestry, like poverty, lack, not enoughness, fear, all these things. And I'm like, why am I afraid of this thing? And like, God will literally speak to me and say, it's not yours. It's not yours, but it is yours, because now you have to heal it, because they're not here any longer to do the work. So we have to pick up that work for our mothers and our grandmothers and heal that.
And I feel that it can be the most toughest thing. It's not doing sometimes the work. It's really finding the tools to do the work, Katie.
Yes.
Finding the tools, because there's just so much thrown at us, and everything is the best nowadays. Everything you see, everything is the best. Everything works, right? quote unquote. And so finding that tool and just going with my gut feeling of how I had to manage and how I wanted to take that leap in my life. And everything just started aligning for me to be able to receive the plant medicine. It was the most impactful journey of my life. I can really say that I'm a completely different person since the day I took it. I feel that in the world, I feel that I was on this side, and now I feel that I'm just on this side. I have an eagle eye towards everything else in life.
Yes.
And I'm blessed for this. The moment I snapped out of, because it was a very nice journey, it was a very long journey. I did it in Antigua, Guatemala.
I was going to ask you, where did you do it? You were in Guatemala when you did it?
I had to be there because that's where I was born, and that's where I knew that I wanted to be in my roots and in my culture and in my country. There's just so many places here in the United States that provide the medicine, and I said, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to go where I was born, where I feel safe. And I did it outside of the city in a place that was called Antigua. And we did it in a very nice spiritual house. I actually, you know how I got, I always had the calling for a couple of months. It was 4 months prior that I had the calling, but it was that one time that I was seeing a client from Guatemala, and she has a house in Antigua, and she was like, oh, this weekend I'm like in 2 weeks I'm doing a ayahuasca retreat, and I only have like one more space left in case you know of somebody. She was sitting in my chair, Katie. She was sitting in my chair, and I was like, what?
God sent her.
Tweet. And I was like, that spot is mine.
Wow.
I flew back to Miami, flew back to Guatemala. I didn't
know anyone there. Like, you weren't like going with friends, and
I didn't know anybody who.
Better. It was probably better because you didn't have anybody like in your ear talking shit, like asking you questions. You could just go and put your freaking, blinders on and just do the work.
Work much better. I didn't know anybody, and I didn't want to see the list of who was going or anything. It was just me, myself, and I going to receive the medicine and go to another dimension, So,
bitch, I love this story.
That's how it happened. My client, she was in my chair, and she's like, I have one spot left. I'm like, that's mine. That's my spot.
Did you have to do like dieta and all that stuff? Did you have to do all that?
I did dieta, and because I took I'm not going to say Xanax, but it's another like form of Xanax. Since my mom passed away, I was taking a 0.05 every day to sleep because, that image in my head could never, I couldn't. And I wouldn't say that I needed it to sleep, but it would just relax me to the point that I was like a little bit forgetting about the situation, because it was very impactful to see that. So I had to detoxify myself. Yeah. So it was an angel from God, and Emily, she does a lot of spiritual work. She's this girl from Boston.
Really?
She lives in Boston. Yeah. And I'm going to give her your information. She was my angel, literally an angel from heaven. My client told me, Ariela, if you're on this medication, it's not good for you. You need to detoxify. Mind you, Emily was flying to Miami that weekend, and she did Cambo on me to be able to detoxify my liver before I could do the medicine. I didn't even know Emily. I didn't know. I just knew that she was an angel coming into my life. And Emily came to my apartment and did the session of Cambo so I can prepare myself for Mother Ayahuasca.
So when, oh God, I have so many questions. So
I know, it's so crazy. Like one thing.
Any kind of like Xanax or any kind of like thing like that, it's so hard to detoxify from. They say it's one of the hardest things, even in a very small amount, to get yourself off of. So that's number one. So God bless you that you did that. Number two, the combo is, tell the people what it is. So it's the toad the secretion from the toad, and she burn you and then she put it in your skin?
It's a secretion. So it's like a secretion that they take, but it's not whatever secretion. It comes from the Amazon, from Brazil, from the jungle of Amazon. And just a parenthesis, Emily had Lyme disease, and Emily couldn't walk. And she became a provider of Cambo, and now I think she's becoming a provider of I wouldn't want to say that. She is my provider of Cambo, and she healed herself. The doctors in the United States couldn't even believe how she healed herself with plant medicine. She is a walking, I wouldn't say miracle, because that's where I understood the power of plant medicine, which that's why I created my oil. But we're going to get into this.
Oh yeah, I can't, because the oil comes from this ayahuasca. See, this is what I love about your story so much, because everything is like leads to the next thing. And with the ayahuasca, it's like, and obviously we spoke about this in Costa Rica, and we've talked about this many times ourselves in private, but the ayahuasca is what led you to be like, I'm going to make this product, and this is going to be just like one more thing that I can offer the world to help them.
Natural.
So, yes.
Natural. Because I plant extract. Yeah.
So, okay. So you're in Guatemala, you go to Antigua, you've already done dieta, you've already done the combo, right? So you're like ready to rock.
After I did the combo, what you were saying, detoxifying of this medication, I felt like I had a penny in my mouth for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It was that metal sensation of me detoxifying from the medication. That's why I realized, I'm like, oh my God, this is not good for you, because it was 3 weeks that I had that sensation of metal in my mouth. It was like I was sucking on a penny.
But the thing is the doctors are so easy to give it to you. Like, oh, your mom passed away, you're having a problem sleeping. Like, here's some medicine. The people were trying to shove medicine down my throat too when my dad died. And I was like, I'm not doing this. It's so funny. When my dad passed away, I drank less than I ever have drank alcohol in my life. I got so sober because I wanted to feel the way it felt to go through the process of the grief and all the things. You know, I wanted to be awake and aware for it. But to your point, like, you were younger and you were probably like, okay, if this is going to help me, like, hook a sister up, you know, like,
exactly.
I don't fall for it at all.
Exactly. You know? And as I said, it was like a various of things, of situations that happened, you know, and one thing was very close to another. So I really was trying to just I was in a survival mode at this point, you know, so yes, I did the plant medicine, and it was very curious because I did not know at this point what the word surrendering meant. I did not know.
Well, that will do it to you.
So when I was driving from the city to Antigua, which is like an hour away in Guatemala, mind you, she brought the shamans from the Amazon to Guatemala. For them to take a plane from Rio to Guatemala, it took them 2 days to go by boat to be able.
An hour flight, you know what I mean? Like something so short and small. But
no,
because
they
were out in the middle of nowhere, right?
In the middle of the jungle. So these are really, like, you know, the best of the best.
Yeah.
So we had these shamans come, and when I was on my way from Guatemala to Antigua, I told my chauffeur, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot my an agenda that you have to bring with you. So because you have to, before going into the plant medicine, you really have to set an intention of what you want to get out of it, and questions to your grandma, literally. And you know what was the notebook that I first went into? I'm like, please stop me in a library. I need to get an agenda, right? There was an agenda in like the cash register, like pink, and it said, ask for what you want and you will get it. Katie, I have it here. I don't want to get up because I don't want to interrupt this, but I really would like to show you. It says, ask for what you want and you will be prepared to get it.
holy shit.
And that's where I said, this is mine. I grabbed this. I didn't even have to go to other aisles. I grabbed this. I went there. And that's where I started to, I asked her so many questions of why I felt this way, why I was, carrying this, carrying that, whatever. And that's where the journey started. And until we received the plant medicine for 2 days. The first day, I did not surrender. I didn't feel anything. I just felt like crap. I felt like crap. I was nauseous. I was so anxious, but because I wasn't surrendering, I wasn't letting the medicine do what it had to do in me, The second day is where the magic happened and where my life changed. And the second day that I received it, it was about 10 hours that we were, doing the work. And the moment, and I just, when I started to, because it does feel like you're on a little bit on LSD. I've never done LSD, but in the movies,
like tripping. Yeah.
The trip that you go into, because you're connecting with your higher self. So when I started to feel that, and I started to feel so bad, Katie, I was like, okay. And I felt my grandma saying, Ariela, if you don't surrender, I'm not going to answer your questions, and we're not going to talk. That's literally what my grandma said. And I didn't see my mom in this whole journey. The only person I saw in a field of girasoles, how do you say the girasoles?
Sunflowers.
Sunflowers. I was in a field of sunflowers, and I would just feel that my grandma was pushing me. Ariela, surrender, or I'm not going to talk to you. And I just felt that I was like getting like stuck in this situation. And that's where I just turned around. I said, I surrender. And I started to get all my past traumas, my exorcism to another level, obviously. And I had the beautiful, most amazing connection. And I talked to my grandma, and she answered absolutely every question that I had in my special notebook that she sent to me.
What do you think was the question that she answered that was the most impactful, that kind of propelled you then to step into your power more and to create your product and to do even more work with your business? Was there any one thing that you could like pinpoint?
Not to hang on to everything so much, just follow your instinct, and whatever you feel the calling to do, just make it happen, because your dreams do become your reality, and that's one thing that stuck to me. Like, whatever you have gone through, there is always a new day for you to start. And even though if you feel stuck this day, just show up in the moments that you feel more stuck, because that's what these small steps are going to take you to something bigger. And that, and a lot of things that she went through and that I was carrying. So, but that's something
that's great advice.
Great advice. Yes.
So when you left the jungle and you went back home to Miami, did you know instantaneously, I'm going to do this with my business and I'm going to start this product and this is how it's going to help people? Or how long was it after that?
It was a year and a half later.
Okay.
Because in ayahuasca, there's messages that can be thrown to you months later, years later. There was just messages that were popping up one day to another, and I was going through it. Also, stillness was one thing that made me realize that a lot of things in my life, because I was always trying to keep myself busy and just, try to just not be alone. And the moment where I started to be so comfortable alone and sit in my stillness is where I started to get all these answers.
Yep. And they say in stillness, I find my true self. And that's the problem with the world that we're living in, especially now, Ariella, is everyone is just running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Yes. And they're like, why isn't God talking to me? Why can't I just take a breakthrough?
Yeah. So sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Amen. Stillness brings so much enlightenment in your life.
True.
Yeah.
So tell us about your oil. I want you to tell everybody about your oil, how you created it, why you created it, and all that, because you know I'm obsessed.
So thank you so much. And as you had said, I'm very excited of the results that you had with your perioral dermatitis. Just a parenthesis I want to do right now, because this is not the first time that I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it from a lot of my clients, and the clients that I haven't even met in person, just by virtual consultations. And I'm impressed.
Once the podcast comes out, I'm going to show before and after pictures, because it's literally that serious. Like, it was so painful. Like, people don't realize how painful that perioral dermatitis is. And it, like, no matter what you do to it, it will not freaking go away. Like, it will get a little bit better, and you'll like get excited. You're like, oh, okay, it's almost gone. And then all of a sudden you have another flare up. And I'm like, and for me, it was because, well, a couple of things. I'm allergic to fluoride and sodium lauryl sulfate, which is like what makes like toothpaste bubble.
Yeah.
And I ran out of toothpaste. Matt and I were away, and I use like crunchy hippie girl toothpaste, like nothing in it, you know? And I ran out of toothpaste, and I was like being lazy, and I just used his toothpaste. And literally 2 days later, the whole thing happened on the outside of my mouth, but on the inside. I had also had a procedure where I had a laser done on my neck by Dr. Sazia, the woman that I go to out here. And I also business coach her. She's incredible. But she had put me on after some prednisone, just like a couple days of prednisone, just to keep the inflammation down. And I was reading that sometimes like prednisone will create the perioral dermatitis, allergies to like fluoride and little things like that. But then I was like trying to pinpoint it, like where it was coming from. But you know what? It was stress. It was just like all the shit that I went through with my dad and all the stuff, just trying to pick up the pieces of my life after that. Like, I think everything kind of just all came together at one point and created that. And I remember calling you and being like, what the hell do I do about this? And you're like, just put the oil on, massage it like every day. I did it morning and night, and I did it for, I'd say 3 weeks. And as soon as like the 3-week mark came up, it just started slowly fading. And now I have nothing, no flare-ups. And also, like, I was so scared because I was like, I'm going to have a big scar because it was so hyperpigmented, because I'm Portuguese. So we have the hyperpigmented, easily skin.
Yeah, PIH, BIE, you can get from it. Exactly, 100%.
And it's gone. And I was actually talking to a girlfriend of mine the other day, and she's like, oh, your skin looks so good. Like, your dermatitis is gone. And I was telling her about your oil, and she's like, I have the same thing. She's like, I have to reach out to her. So it's incredible what you've created. And I love how it ties in also to the plant medicine, because it is all holistic. It's not, listen, and I know I love skincare, and I know that like sometimes you need to put more medical grade shit on your skin.
Actives. Yes.
But what you have created is so incredible, because it's so multi-purpose too, right? You can use it for lymphatic drainage, for gua sha, for massage. I use it just as a facial oil after I get out of the shower. Like, there's really no wrong or right way to use it.
It's very versatile, and there's many ways of using it. And I just want to say this is not a medical advice at all. But I can say that the bioactive compounds that that we developed and that we have in our formulation, all those phytoesterols, omegas 3, 6, 7, and 9, that are very crucial to keep your skin barrier healthy and to nourish it. Carotenoids, antioxidants, vitamin E, which is, jojoba oil is very anti-aging as well. So I feel that I made a very mindful and I'm very proud of the formulation that I created, because it has helped heal most of my reactive and people who have skin conditions. I mean, as you were saying, and I do agree with you, I work with a lot of active ingredients. I have so many lines that I don't have so many lines. I'm very specific with the lines that I carry and very mindful about it, but I do work with so many products that have active ingredients. But just adding this, which is 100% natural, has enhanced my results in my clinic. with my patients and with my virtual clients. And it has changed my skin as well. Obviously, I trialed it for a year and 3 months, and it changed my skin and it changed all my clients' skin. So I can say that adding this to using it by itself, as we said, very versatile, but adding it to any active ingredients that you already have in your skincare routine is just gonna enhance so much your results.
Huge. For the people that are watching on YouTube, because obviously if they're listening, they can't see it, but for the people that are watching the video, show everybody your packaging, because I'm obsessed with packaging and aesthetics, and I know that you are too. Your packaging is the best freaking packaging I've ever seen. Like, it's just so dope. Like, that's the bag. It's so beautiful. It's gorgeous.
I wanted
packaging too of like the actual, like where the oil sits, because that is so incredible. So when you get it,
this is the oil. I hired a marketing team in my country. This oil is made, produced, packaged, everything in Guatemala. I wanted to give back to my country because it has given me so much. And I am so proud of being, we say in Guatemala, Chapina, Guatemalan. And I wanted to give jobs to my country. And that's why I created it and did absolutely from A to Z in Guatemala. So this is the packaging. It's called ByAriRX. By me. My name is Ariella. And I did the RX because we prescribe glow. So this is the packaging. And
this is my favorite part. It's like the best. Oh, like when it opens up like that, it feels like such an expensive gift, you know, like when you open it, you really feel like you're opening something so expensive. It's so beautiful.
I really wanted to create that luxurious, because that's kind of how my life is. Like, I love everything that feels luxurious, nice, but with a very mindful background, you know, and that's the feel that I wanted to create with this. And also the feel of when you're putting this luxurious oil on, for you to come back home to yourself, which is the most important thing. And for you that you have smelled it and the touch and the feel, it just reminds us of how something can just make you feel that you're in a safe space and coming back to yourself, and with that self-love. So that's what I wanted to create. Yes.
Oh, it's so good. Now, you obviously sell to other estheticians and doctors, so they can carry this line like within their own practices. And when the doctors use it, they mostly prescribe it. Like if you have a procedure, right, they're obsessed with it for aftercare, right? Like massaging, helping with like keloiding, scars, hyperpigmentation, just taking the inflammation down. And you also are having it be in a lot of aesthetic practices with other estheticians. So do they use it mostly like as a back bar product, and they're like using it on the skin for like massage, lymphatic drainage? Where do you see it being used the most in your different practices that people are carrying it?
So for my retail partners, yes, I have kind of these two segments that you were mentioning right now. I have the plastic surgeons, which, you know, they do a lot of lasers, a lot of heat-based energy treatments, radio frequencies, everything that has to do with heat-based. Yeah. So they are using it for an aftercare, you know, because it's packed with all these bioactive ingredients that I told you, bioactive compounds, because that helps with a lot with inflammation without having any contraindication of medications. So that's why they are loving it to send their clients home after an invasive treatment for it, because it is going to help with scarring, with obviously when we have these type of treatments done, there's a lot of inflammation in your skin. And so you can just like nourish that skin in the right manner without having any contraindications from medication. So that's our first like segment. And the second one is I do have a lot of retail partners that are estheticians, medical spas, Also, a lot of nurse practitioners are also carrying it that do injectables, that do microneedling, and they are sending also home their clients with this as an aftercare, because I said it's very healing and nourishing at the same time. So they're really going to see and enhance their results with the treatments that they're doing and sending them home with this aftercare. Because remember, the aftercare, I mean, we do after at home, you do 80%. In the office, we do 20. So it's very important to send your clients home with something that it's going to be a game changer at the end of the day. And they also use it. As a back bar. So they have it in their treatment room. I see a lot of my STs that are dermaplaning with it. After the treatments that they do, they're finishing up their treatments with it. But also they're all retailing it. So you can leave the office with your amazing aftercare. Yes.
When I saw you in Beverly Hills, I hadn't had my laser done on my neck yet. And I had my laser done at Dr. Sazia's about a week and a half later. And, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but they like make a little incision and they go under the skin with the laser. And first it's like heat, so they melt the fat, and then it tightens the skin. And then I had to wear that like really cute, like thing around my head for like a couple days, and I just looked ridiculous. But I was like, I'm a good patient. Like, I'm going to listen to the doctor. I'm going to do everything. But one of the things she said to me is like, you really have to massage it, because that's what's going to like really get the inflammation down, and it's just going to make it settle better. And every day after I got your oil, every day I would get my little hands out and I would do, and it was sore, right? Because it's like tender, but it helped me so much. And I think that that's why I had such great results, not just because of the actual treatment I got from Dr. Sazia, but I really was really adamant about aftercare. And I knew that this was one of the reasons why this oil was created. So it just changed the game. And then not only did it help me with that, but then when I got the dermatitis, it just like actually helped that 100%. And now I just use it just to moisturize my skin. And I just love the way it feels.
I know. And it's, as I said, it's very versatile. You can use it. As I said, I live here. I go to the beach a lot. I go to the sun. So when I'm feeling like super crusty and like I've been, dehydrated and everything, I just bathe myself in it. I use it for my hair. I really created it for face, neck, and décolleté. But you can use it. I've had some clients that have eczema in their scalp. It has helped tremendously with that. So there's many ways of using it. You can use it as your first step of your skincare routine, just to like that like bioactive compounds to penetrate 100%. And then you can do your skincare routine. You can use it at the end of your skincare routine to lock in hydration. Makeup artists are also buying it because they're saying that they're loving it as a primer. It leaves the skin super dewy, glowy, but without that greasiness. I was at dinner with two of my SD besties here in Miami, which I admire so much. And I've learned so much from them, and we're all vibrating in the same level, because we're all just, hustling and we want to kill it.
Yeah.
So, and one of them said, Ariela, your oil is like water, because it doesn't feel heavy at all. And because it's zero silicones, no parabens, it has absolutely no fillers, and it's cold pressed, so it doesn't have any heat in it. It really, that transdermal delivery system is just 100%. So you're really not going to feel greasy at all. And that's one thing that I really wanted to focus on, because I had worked with all these years being in the skincare industry with a lot of oils, and they would break me out. And as an acne specialist, I'm an acne specialist, I felt that there was a big lack in formulations of oils. And I really wanted to break that stigma by creating this and saying, babes, don't be afraid of oils. Oils is literally one of the main things that keep your skin looking young, healthy. So I really wanted to break that stigma. And I think I could do a little bit more of going on social media on my page and talking about it, but I I've never been that type of person, and I'm trying to get good at it. But one thing that I can say is the more people are feeling it, using it, and knowing about the oil, the more they are being more confident of bringing it in and adding it to their clientele's skincare routine, because it makes a difference. The formulation, formulation is everything. And I really pinned down and pointed the best one that I could do.
It's so funny that you're saying that, because every oil that I've ever used sits on top of my skin. It's like your skin doesn't bring it in, but yours is like your skin brings it in. It leaves just enough on the surface. And like you said, like it makes you look so dewy, because I have oily skin and I was very acne prone when I was younger. So I was in the mindset, like, never put oil on your face. You want to dry everything out, which is the worst thing that you can do. And you're really the one that was like, Katie, you need to do oil. Stop being afraid. And as soon as I like surrendered to that, I was like, oh my God, my skin has never, ever looked better. I mean, I have people literally that will Facebook me and be like, or Instagram me and be like, you're aging in reverse. Now, mind you, I've never had plastic surgery ever in my life, but I get my Botox, I have my micro needling, I do my lasers and stuff like that. I'm not like a big fan of filler, just because right now I don't feel like I need it that much, but I'm not against it either. But I'm telling you, like, good skincare, having the right people telling you the right things to do that know their shit, it's a freaking game changer. But it's up to us to listen and
exactly. No, and also I feel that my biggest part and what I can do the most is being able to educate not only my clients, but other business providers in this industry. Because as I said, how would you know if you don't know? So that is my duty, to be able to educate. Education is a big part. And I have had a couple of estheticians that I've introduced my oil to, and they're like, thank you, but no thank you, because I'm an acne specialist and I don't use oils. So it's very interesting to me, because, and they'll get to it, they'll understand in the future what having a good oil in their space is. But I'm an acne specialist, and the first thing that I put my clients on when they are cystic acne inflammation to a whole nother level is my oil. And it has cleared my patients up. Huge. Huge. So
if the girls are listening, or service providers in the aesthetic world, or nurse practitioners, doctors who own medical spas, if they're interested in getting to speak with you about carrying your line or sampling your line, what's the best way for them to do that?
So the best way would be to go into my ByAriRX Instagram page and just DM us. They can fill out a retail partner form there. There is a form there that they can send us all their information, and then we'll get back to them, or they can DM us directly, and I'll be able to send them the whole retail partnership and the tiers that we have, and how we can proceed with the opening orders if they're interested in carrying it. Yes.
So exciting. And by the time that this podcast comes out, because we're recording it in March, but it will come out in April. So you guys are like, what the hell are you guys doing? We've done this before, because one of the things that I try to do is I try to get ahead like with work, so I'm not scrambling to put podcasts out. But when you guys do listen to this, Ariella is going to be coming and doing a pop-up at KBMFC Wellness. We're going to choose a date very soon, so stay tuned. And I want to carry your line at my wellness clinic, even though, I'm not an esthetician, but with what I do with like the food and the exercise, the mindset and the movement and the breath work and all the spiritual stuff. And I love the beauty industry, and I know that my clients love it too. We're putting in, as you know, we've had this conversation, we're putting in a healing room with a full aesthetic bed, everything that an esthetician needs. So I know, I'm so pumped for it. So you'll be coming, and we're going to have a beautiful event at the studio, and you're going to teach all the ladies how to use your oil, and then you're going to be doing facials during your stay with me, which I'm so excited about. So guys, stay tuned for that, because that's going to be
I'm so excited.
And it's great that they can just DM you and get the information. It's so you make
Yes, and I have a link down there for retail partnerships, or they can also, that is going to direct them to our webpage, which they can also buy it through there. So it's very, very easy. Yes.
awesome. That's awesome. What's your goals going forward for your business and your product? Because I know that she's not just in product sales now. You obviously still do aesthetics in Miami and Guatemala, because you go back and forth. Like, I think your life is so cool. You're like, oh, I'm gonna play. I have like 1,000 people I have to see this week. I'm like,
right now I'm going a lot to Guatemala because of everything that we're doing with the oil. I have my whole team is over there, so I'm going there a lot. But Katie, I could definitely tell you that if you would have asked me 2 years ago if I was going to launch a product, maybe I had it subconsciously in mind, but I would never have imagined how it just happened so quickly. The trial that I did with my oil for 1 year was precisely only with my clients. And I would give them a 5 ml vial. And 2 weeks later, they're like, I'm done. Can you? And I would gift them to them, because I love my clients and they are very loyal to me. And without them, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And they're so special to me. Everybody that comes into my treatment room has just an amazing light and just fills my cup up so much. And I was so grateful that they stuck with me for a year, just giving me all their feedback of the oil. So I would give them a 5 ml. 2 weeks later, they would call me, can I stop by your office? I want 5, please. I want 10. And like this, and then when I started to realize how it was not one person, it was absolutely my whole clientele that was asking for it, I said, okay, I'm gonna make a brand out of it, and it's gonna call it ByAriRX, porque it was me. And I started with this because I wanted an oil for myself. Yes. I wanted an oil for myself. And then when I started to, just give it to my clients, that's where we started to work on it together. They would give me their feedback. They're like, Ariela, it's, and all these amazing results. So that's how I started with them. And then when we launched, well, I haven't had a specific launch to be.
I know you haven't. You have to have a big party. What the hell?
I've just been so busy on flying to other states and just introducing it to other skin providers and surgeons and plastic surgeons, So answering your question is whatever life wants to give me.
I love it. I love it.
That's what I can say, because I wouldn't have imagined in 5 months, I already have more than 10 retail partners in the United States. And I'm getting some proposals from other countries right now. So I can't even explain where this is going to go, because I'm just so open to whatever life wants to give me.
I love this though, because this is the thing, a couple of things. So number one is your clientele is your best beta testers. That's number one. So grand. Secondly, you created this for yourself. Mm-hmm. You also created it for yourself in the way that's like, if this works, it's going to help my clients. Mm-hmm. You did not create this product like, I'm going to make all this money and I'm going to do all this shit. And I always tell people who try to work with me, if you are getting into any business or any product sales and you are doing it for the money, you are going to fucking fail. And it is going to be so difficult. But if they just followed this advice, like create something from your heart, create something that's going to benefit you and your clientele. And you know what? From there, that's why it works. That's why it's so successful, right? So in such a short amount of time, you already have all these massive retail partners and you're just accruing more and more. And you're not stressing out about it. You're not pushing it on people. You're just like, listen, I created this thing. It's helped many people. You want it, you can have it. If you don't, that's okay too. Love you. We'll still be friends. And that's why you're so successful. So one of the biggest things that I think that women and men who listen to this that are in business, especially in the beauty industry, it's like when you create something, create it from your heart to serve, not for the money, because the money is the byproduct of the service.
Katie, it's so insane that you're saying this right now, because the dinner that I was having with my two SD besties 2 days ago, they asked me a couple of questions. Both of them are carrying it and they love it and they're obsessed with it. And they said, how did you think like you just took this step so quickly in the United States, because it's a huge market, you know? And I said, you know what? I never thought about the money. I never thought about the money until when I had to put a price on how I was going to sell it, until I had to say, okay, for my retail partners, you know, that's when I started. But this was a year and 4 months after. I never went into this creation thinking I'm going to make money out of it. That was the least that I thought. And I thought it until I had to put a price on it, you know? So I feel that that's a very important thing and aspect to really tell all you babes out there, do it. Whatever you do, do it from the heart, not thinking of how much money you're going to make.
Amen. Because guess what? God watches everything you do. And there's days where I have really tough days and I'm going hard and I'm tired and I'm like, what the fuck? And I literally look up at God and I go, I know you're watching me and I know you see me and I know you know this is coming from a pure place of my heart. And that's why I am so successful, just like you, where it's like, I'm going to charge what I'm worth. Okay. I do not have self-worth problems anymore. I've already healed that myself. So I'm going to always charge what I'm worth, but I know that the services and the products that I provide to my clients are the best that money can buy. So I don't feel bad about charging what I'm worth, but I have never been successful in my life when I have created from a place of like scarcity and lack and not enoughness. Like, I just have to make this money, you know, every time you do that, it always ends up shit.
Always.
Right. And the people who are like, maybe, you know, you've said, okay, like I have this oil, and the people that are on the fence, like God is watching over you. The right people are going to carry your product. Always.
I just want my product. And this is one thing that I've been very true to myself. I want my product to be in a safe and sacred space. I don't want, you know, I don't want to get into that, but I do want my product to be in shelves where it aligns with what I created. Yes. And I feel that God is just helping me with that so much.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. This was like, I could literally talk to you for 10 hours.
I know, that's what I said. So we serve ourselves a whiskey, and I'm just kidding.
I wish this was a whiskey right now, but I got to work for the rest of the day. But this is like such an amazing conversation. I am so excited for people to get to know you better, to follow you on your social media. Everything is going to be in the show notes for the podcast. So wherever you're listening to this, guys out there in Ambitchious land, just scroll down to the show notes. We're going to have everything that you can get in touch with Ariella, from her social media handles to her website to all that. And this is just such an inspirational, motivational conversation. And like, you've inspired me so much today, just to like keep doing the work, even when you get tired, even when bad things happen, because bad things are there to show you, to show yourself what you're actually made of. And we have that in common 100%. You know, we've always used adversity to take us to the next level, empower our purpose, and help more people. And that's why you're so successful, and you're going to be continuing to become even more. And I feel the same way about myself. And I just love and appreciate you so much. And
love you so much. And what you were saying right now is, because I have heard like, Ariella is so lucky. Ariella, literally. And it's what you do when it feels the hardest, and consistency. Yes. And it's not luck, babes. It's not luck. It's showing up when it's the hardest, when you don't feel like it, when you're nervous, when the anxiety hits in. It's just pushing through, you know? So let that anxiety become your power. Let that, you know, whatever you're going through, just try to make it like more empowerment for you, so you can take that and scale your business to another level.
Amen. Because I think that people think like, oh, I'm just going to put in like a couple months of hard work and everything's just going to work out. And it's like, no, girl, like I have been doing this, what I do for 25 years. When everyone else that wanted to be like me came into the industry, they would last maybe 6 months and they would go back to their old jobs or they would quit. And there's one thing about me. I'm like a freaking cockroach. I'm like, okay. I will like, there could be like an atomic bomb to Earth. Right. And I know that you're the same way. Like we're just consistent. We're just like, you know what? There's going to be days where you're tired. There's going to be days where you're sad, but you just keep showing up as best as you can. And the consistency is what equals the success. It's not like, oh, throw shit to the wall, see what sticks for 3 months. It's just not going to happen, you know? So you are such a true testament to that. And I'm so grateful to not only have you on this podcast, but to call you a friend. I adore you.
I adore you more. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your wise words, your wise coaching. I love being in your app. Just those Monday mornings just fill me with so much enlightenment. And you have become like a very important piece in how I should, keep on showing up for my business, and all this coaching that you really do. It's so admiring, and you've changed a lot of people's lives. And I am so grateful to have gotten to know you and to call you my friend, Katie. Seriously.
I love you. And I feel the same way about you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It really means the world to me. You guys, get on over to the show notes. Go to All Things Ariella. Check out her oils. Listen to this. Share it with all your friends, because I know that this podcast is going to inspire, educate, empower, and motivate. And I love your story. And thank you for being here. And for all of you out there in ambitious land, don't forget to stay ambitious. And I will see you next day. Mwah.
Mwah.